Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I will just start making sure I'm admitting everyone into the room, let everyone get in here. And I need to give hosting privileges to tonight's readers. People are still filtering in. Plus, we need all of our readers to be here. So we're waiting on that as well. Emily and Opal, you're not in here yet, are you? I don't see you in here, but if you are, go ahead and let me know if you've got a different name under your.
I'm here. It
You're
just says
here. Oh, there you are. Oh, you're Emily Jade. You threw me for a loop there. Good, and you're able to obviously control your audio, which is great. So we're just waiting on Opal, but I may get started here in just a minute, and hopefully Opal finds her way in. Okay, I'm going to get started, and I'll keep my eye out for Opal. Otherwise, we'll have you guys just go ahead. We're doing alphabetical order anyway. So welcome to a Common Sense reading series. My name is Jordan Stempelman. For those of you who've never attended a Common Sense reading series, I've been doing this for 11 years now. It started off all over in different venues in Kansas City, and for the past few years, I've had the home base at the Kansas City Art Institute. It's also where I teach. And all the readings this year will be done virtually. So there will be a couple more readings I'll tell you about in the spring. The first one will be in February. The readers will be Kiki Petrosino and BJ Saloy. Information for and a registration link for that reading and all upcoming readings can be found on my website. It's just jordanstempelman.com, and that's under the Common Sense Reading tab. I'll go ahead and put that down here, and I'll put it all into the chat and put all the other readings for the spring into the chat as well. I want to acknowledge, first of all, that this event was made possible by generous contributions from the Kansas City Art Institute Gallery, the Center for Contemporary Practice, and the Creative Writing Program at the Kansas City Art Institute. Tonight's three readers are all creative writing double majors at the Kansas City Art Institute. Rylie Lawver is a senior in graphic design and creative writing. Emily Mooney is a junior in fiber and creative writing, and Opal Roberts-Baca is a senior in filmmaking and creative writing. And I'm very excited to hear them all. A couple I've had in class before. I have got Emily this year in class for the first time. And so I'm just very excited to showcase our students. That's what the past, I think, 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years now, I've devoted the January reading series to our creative writing majors because I'm so proud of what they do and impressed by their writing. So let me go ahead and do a couple things really quick, make sure I'm not missing anyone in the room, but I'll keep my eye on that. Here is the information for the next 3 readings in the spring. So let's get started. Our first reader tonight will be Rylie Lawver.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I don't know if you want me to share my screen, but I think I'm just going to read just like this, if that's okay. Okay. So the first one I'd like to start out with is called Post-Lunch Battlefield. It is understood to not bring health, to be a copper ribbon effigy of a light duet you once knew. The kind where I'm slow shrugging my shoulders to peach scone and your crescent greets the window doors. Cat-clawed cushions covered in philia. Phobia is what lies under your futon now. My condition, the opposite of Wetico. Incurable ailments my therapist automates. I drink holy water every morning, glass half full next to my Honey Nut Cheerios. I'll just eat my own hand. Never loud enough. I look up and down the table. All the elbows crease the cloth. I can remember mourning my dress for hours. He said, young lady. I averted my nail beds, drawing blood from ghost scars. Hubris flourishes in vistas, carefully scripted terrace tandems cycle over stones, ultraviolet growth underneath the soles of your teeth. I could scream at you from this podium, tracing your ears with handles of meek insight. You speak in broken circles, headstones chomping. I could never read lips. 1986 Mine House. Running through fields of red flags, enjoy empty, filled space, sitting in it, like watching canaries let go into minefields. Between form and content in space, dust bunnies in between vent fans, like abandoned, lice-infested jade couches on the side of the street where you got sick on off-brand Fruit Loops. Between waking up and waiting for open, clear eyes, like friendships who give you productive ADHD or writing on walls shit-faced for 4 days after 1 bottle of Prosecco. Like when you wake up with mania and decide to lean into your hippocampus menagerie. Like watching a canary find its way out of a minefield. 12-16-20. The figures run out to get their boards. One's jumping into the crab pools, seaweed tingling like cold hair, her skin golden toned running ahead of the other who chases after her. Like a boy who might chase a goose and also be afraid of its claw. He drags his fist against the dark skies, paying the sea its heed. Waves twist over like cars flipping. Sand molds to bare feet forming, lapping lulls lost to noon, spinning our days out our day job, wrecking our attention in a different world. Unintentional sinkholes. Sand grains under crescents and rows of calcium, building for years, decades, millennium. Shells you find not looking with your eyes, whispering into disconnected lines, hearing ocean static. Surge into them like children with their hands lifted towards their parents, head first. Sea smelling like an open wound, cleaning itself of all who enter, closing its eye around our Moses. Epitaph. Dear July 25th, 2020. I do not know what your death is or where to feel it. I know only my death and that she comes incessantly. She knows only me and how I greet her again and not. Indifferent and aware in my lucidity. I am laying with my belly against a pink bathtub. I keep lowering my chin into the water, leveling past my lip, sometimes lifting it over ears. Sensory deprivation tanks are a welcome mat on Saturday evenings. Not knowing someone's death like they know their death is like realizing you don't know your best friend's favorite song, or if they have a favorite song, or if their favorite color changed from purple in 6th grade. Reading your death on Facebook makes me touch all of the ferns in Seattle, and all of the wheat fields in Kansas, and all of the bluebells in Texas. My dear, forgive me for getting distracted by test scores, and forgive me for not going on a picnic in your cherry red Honda CRV. Tell me what you would like to talk about in coffee shops, or which Rothko painting to look at the museum while the guard wasn't looking. That classroom was a church, and the museum gardens a meadow waiting for all the ginkgo trees to drop their yellow leaves in sync. Our youth a timbre pulled taut, sewing life threads until they are cut. 5/13/20. Preparing superb boiled potatoes. I can hear you, Jane Austen, lightly tapping rolled graphite against loosened corset strings. Oh, how someone hopes to be useful for something at 13. For I've lit gas stoves and toiled, peeling russet potatoes, their starch skin bruised and wormed. One learns how to quiet minds reading books in front of 32 people, writing in front of a procession, dear me, as if even a shelled burnt umber chair would tempt me to rest my assent. She will send me letters, the address of declaration of sex, as if to tell me the content behind folded Bristol. Entire summers spent picking rotten, wormed fruit, their supple skin quickly aging in the licked asphalt air. Bare feet are mere casualties here, in the likeness of scabbed over apples, scraping the freckles off potatoes with a handheld peeler. Careful, don't catch your thumb. I saw you, Jane, wrinkled and hunched, a day's work done before noon, your coffee microwaved and then forgotten. I heard you ask your questions. Why do hands smell of dill and then vanilla? As if black snakes aren't poisonous, then why did grandfather chop their heads with a spade? Tell me who my father is. Hopping over a cattle guard made us despots. I followed you past the shine of aluminum boats and the cold comfort of mud between fingers. Together we ran around drop leaves, our fingers skimming the edge wood. We danced to everything, running in a circle. Stomach pain. I hope you realize you miss me when you notice I ate all of your blue M&Ms. Pianos still wish to live. He said, your poetry hits me like stained glass. I go through music much like I go through people. Eat this apple to its core, may juice run down your flushed chin. Swallow black seeds, if not two. Steal them from the finches, but perhaps you'll be crucified into a tea leaf. The red flesh fruit fingers flail for a piece of you. Fuck Atlas, holding the world. I gave him my 2 best sockets to save mine. The earth so much as shuffled away, children laughing. 3/7/19. Truth lies. I've been under the same umbrella. When sinking under lukewarm water makes hearing clear, when curling up on the shower floor, knees to chest is the only sensory deprivation tank needed. I've been under the same umbrella when worshiping the porcelain god became the only one known. Moments felt like sleep, ringing in adrenaline ears, wiping mouths on the same bath towel for weeks. I've been under the same umbrella when deceptions reflect in anxiety mirrors and fingers pick at broken birdshell nails. When relief is red and contempt is clean, white walls. I've been under the same umbrella since middle school, when runners told jocks, we have balls, don't play with them. Since 17 magazine became the new Harry Potter obsession. I've been under the same umbrella since that time you asked me what was under my cotton tee, since disdain only lessened under the eyes of toothpicks, since fitting entire hands around thighs. I've been under the same umbrella for 9 years. A post-frontier proposal. We laid in the grass, and almost Jack and Jill, the wilderness preserved in the wheat fields that swayed. Farm fields were the first battlefield for us, so we hid from the tigers who called us to strip bushes of raspberries, their thorns pricking blood. We hid from hunger and the supper bill. We hid from the witch's house that hunchbacked over hawthorns. I hid until you grew tired. I hid until the leaves fell in the first snow. I lie there still, and every year the grass grows, I sink deeper into the soil. Grandchild of aluminum boats that always sink, swimming with the snapping turtles. Of dirt-crusted nails and games of kings and ace queens. Of chasing monarchs on sharpened spikes and jumping over cans. Oh dear, we were so worried about your crown that I fell down and broke mine. Okay, and this is my last one. 3 unforgotten spaces. I exist somewhere in the useful non-existent. Spaces in between naive form and mature counter. In the ink wash that stains my fingertips, much like momentary forgetfulness that plagues your brain. You'll find me in the empty open space through which your door is never used. Rip up the floorboards to pass the time. Yours always remains cracked open, breath, deadbolts checked twice, running up the white trim. That rotting 2x4 stuck between. The windowsill yawns, shrouded, mustard yellow walls brown in perpetual dusk. I exist somewhere under my sister's brat of an art desk, the frilling paint upturned, company with the cat hair and pampered dust. Humidity pruned skin rests against panes, arches its back into the perspiration, dripping down the sill's mirror pond. I don't understand why abandoned transparencies live. Velvet spreads deteriorate in the absence of incense and turn pages on floating shelves. I'll pull out my black hair and let the threads drift down, presenting themselves on a free YMCA t-shirt as a promise of all the illness you have left me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rylie. I mean, that was really wonderful. That line, like watching a canary find its way out of a minefield. I think that's really relatable. I feel like that canary many times throughout these past few months. And I think many people do. That was great. And Rylie read last year as well, and so it's wonderful to hear how your work is developing over this past year, and it's developing fantastically. The images were very rich. It's great, really great. So our next reader, and it may be our final reader, so we might have a little extra time if there's another one you do want to read, Rylie. Think about that, or if you want to read for a couple extra minutes, Emily, by all means, take that time. So again, our next reader is Emily Mooney.
Hello. I want the confidence of a smoker, or at least of a kid who smacks their gum. Her peach-colored dress. She wore a peach-colored dress with small flowers scattered across the bodice, frills at the sleeves, and a tie at the bust. Why she wore it, I did not know. It was not Sunday. When she went out to play, she found a nest with a single egg lying in the grass. It seemed the mother left it. Whatever was in there must have died. She stared at the egg with laser focus. Her eyes locked on the freckles of the shell. It broke, bust right down the center of her dress, yolk dribbling through the gap of her fingers. A rotten dog saliva scent crawled up her nose. Looking inside the shell, she saw blood and what appeared to be a tiny baby bird, lifeless in her hand. She flung the egg across the yard, rubbing her hand onto her stained dress, and ran out the gate, out the neighborhood, thinking of nothing but escaping the pleasure she'd felt from destroying what could have been a life. The wet yolk clung to her torso as she sprinted across a stranger's yard. Eventually, she stopped on the side of a gravel road. As she picked at the crusted egg yolk atop the crowds of flowers on her dress, She wondered aloud, what now? How crow taste. She ate me like I ate it, crow. Crow watched and crept its way into the burden of swallowing. A brick to the head, will I be eaten though I'm not dead? Yes. I ate you whole, served to me, gave me in black, I chewed on its back to get to the bones. Bath time thoughts. Many times as a child, I had imagined myself dying. I would fall asleep. I'd position myself in the layout of the death I fantasized about that night. I drape my arm over my face, sprawl my legs, my eyes closed but sometimes open. I take a bath and let my naked form bounce against the tub. I feel my hair in the wet, brushing against my cheek like a kiss. I internalize the rhythm of the water pulling me up, down, east, west. I imagine myself in a creek or a river. I can imagine the sensation of the scratchy water. Mud, sand, twigs tugging at my bloated forearm, keeping bits of me as I drift into the unnamed. The water dragged me into the oblivion of the ocean. I always wanted to see that bright salted water. Now my body will become it. My pale, empty cast, eaten by the world, I will exist in a fish's belly. I will be caught and consumed by those that live here. I am jealous of the sky and the water I am immersed in, that they get to see what becomes of my cold, lifeless sack, banging against the rocks like I do now against the ceramic tub. The water pouring over my swollen pudginess, my skin will peel off itself, layer by layer. No one will recognize it. It is me, because by then I will be unrecognizable and will go from being a person to being an it. I will forever be missing or left somewhere in a morgue. What did they do with them? I will be kept for months, unidentified, unnoticed, but then what? Will I be burned? Will I be used for experimentation? Will I be a dummy for interns to practice putting in IVs? Sounds before bed. Footsteps on the tile, heels hitting and bones popping like breaking celery sticks against granite. I would listen for it. I would wait to sleep till it approached, the transition from tile to wood, breathing outside my bedroom door. Maybe Marlboros. I taped a picture on the wall of my mom on her 21st birthday. She's wearing thick eyeliner that coats her bottom lashes with a short shag haircut. She has silver acrylics and a chain belt and silver hoops to match. Her sprawled fingers frame her puckered lips as she inhales a half-smoked cigarette, maybe Marlboros. I can imagine her exhaling the smoke into the lens of the camera. Who is the man behind her? I see only half his face. Maybe it is my father, but I don't remember him wearing glasses. Her 21st birthday, I was 4. Taped to my wall, we are both 21. Mothballs. I say I love you so often, I spit out the words with no meaning, no truth, no grit. The words I love you, piling out of my mouth with a dead tongue, floppy and flimsy, collapsing, out of my lips and onto the now damp chin. Drool puddles below onto my blue shirt, the shirt my father gave me 6 years ago at my bar mitzvah. The liquid trickles down the limp muscle and soaks the light blue to navy. I fall asleep and my tongue is dry. Everything is dry except my shirt. It is still moist from the night before. My mouth tastes the way mothballs smell, distinct, mildewy, stale, the saliva crusted to the corners of my mouth. I deliberately raise my arm to my crust and pick and pluck the residue off sloppily, carelessly. I smack my lips together and rub my shriveled tongue to the dehydrated roof, begging for moisture. Eventually, the spit pools, and it once again spills out my body as I make out the words, I love you, with a dry, cracked mouth that is no longer usable, saying, I love you, I love you. The end.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. I'm going back to your crow poem, How Crow Tastes. Have you read the poems of Ted Hughes? His crow poems? Oh, you
No,
might like them. Yeah, they're my favorite thing that he's done. You know, the other association that he has is for me a far distant, but the crow poems are great. Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you. Rylie, did you want to read any more, or do you feel complete?
I think I feel complete.
You feel complete? Good,
Yeah.
good, good. Well, this is nice. I mean, short and sweet. I wish Opal was here, and I hope everything's fine with her. But this is quite wonderful because you know, a lot of the time it might be 15 or sometimes 20 students, and they only get like a poem a time to read. And so it was really wonderful to have you all have a concentrated series of poems that you could present to us. So that was great. So thank you again to Rylie and to Emily for sharing your work with us. It's really incredible, and it just is really indicative of the talent that you guys possess. And so really proud of you all. And please, everyone, tune in to next month's reading with Kiki Petrosino, who is a dynamite poet, and BJ Saloy, who is actually a local poet. Kiki's now, I think, teaching, and she's out at the University of Virginia. But BJ Saloy is local. We published some of his work in Sprung Formal last year. He's very, very talented. So those of you guys who are local and are looking for writing groups or something, try to hit up BJ and form community, because we need community more than ever right now. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to our readers. And this was great, nice and short and sweet, half hour. And now we can return to the world and we can feel a bit more shine, I think. I feel a lot more shine thanks to you guys. All right. So everyone have a great night. Take care and be well. All right. Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.